You have to have a plan so you know how far off you are. Good day, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Monday Morning Moments with Mark. I hope this finds you well. So, as you saw in the open, this week we're going to talk a little bit about planning and why is it even important in the first place to plan for anything? Who cares? But before we get into all that, we have to have the funniest thing. So, the funniest thing this week actually was borrowed from last week, and it's about the shirt that I have. I had it for quite some time, and on the back it says "Rum is the answer, but I forgot the question." And I was actually wearing this shirt when I heard the song "Rum is the reason pirates never ruled the world." And then I had the epiphany. The question is, why did pirates never rule the world? And rum is the answer. So now I gotta get a whole new shirt because obviously I now know the question and the answer. So, anyways, go make yourself a summer run, drink, and have fun. But wait till you watch the rest of this episode first. So, speaking of planning, that sounds like a good plan. But let's talk about why planning is important. The precipice for this week's episode came from a conversation with my good buddy Josh, and his daughter's coming to visit for the first time since he moved to Florida. And we were talking about what kind of plans he had, and he was like, "Well, I'm just gonna kind of wing it, and whatever she wants to go do, that's what we'll go do." And I was like, well, you've got to have some kind of an agenda. And I got to thinking afterwards, I was like, what's the point of even having a plan? What's wrong with winging it, especially if you have a PhD in wing it like me? And, you just go with the flow. So I wanted to take some time to sit down and think about why is planning even relevant in the first place? And here's a couple of things that I came up with. First of all, the time period for planning is completely irrelevant when considering the why of planning. The time frame, whether you're planning what you want to do this afternoon or the rest of this week, month, year, or whether you're making a 5-year plan for the next phase of your life, it really is irrelevant. Time period only deals with the who, what, when, where, and how of planning. It doesn't have anything to do with why. So let's just forget about that piece of it. What planning does is allows you to determine your degree of success based on the deviation from your intent. So you have this idea, this is where I want to go, and how far away from that is your measure of success to a certain extent. There's other factors you can measure success with, but that comes from a great quote from one of my favorite leaders I ever had the pleasure of working for, Chief Warrant Officer Kevin Ackerman. This is actually one of the rules on the website if you go and check them out. It's one of my life rules, and it's you have to have a plan so you know how far off you are. So with that, we can, like I said, measure that degree of deviation from what your intent was. The second thing that I thought about that planning, the purpose that planning serves, is to develop adaptability. And I don't mean that, okay, well, we have a plan and then we plan for the unexpected, and when the unexpected happens, we can adapt to the situation. That's not what I'm talking about. Not that kind of adaptability. What I mean is that as you're going through the process that you've planned out, and an alternative outcome presents itself, you know what are acceptable alternatives that will help you reach your intended end state. So that's the kind of adaptability that I'm talking about, not necessarily changing course, but accepting different things that can help you still reach the end state, which is the whole success strategy model. The next thing I thought about was how planning helps you build resilience. And what I mean by that is when those deviations do come in, it allows you to find a way back to the path quicker and easier so that you can continue on with the plan. And within that, it also allows you to accept and find happiness in alternative outcomes. So that's more of the idea of the adaptability towards the outcome is building resilience. Okay, this isn't what I had in mind. However, I can be happy with this. And what that piece does, when you can find that happiness and you live in that resilience, that I planned for this, I was prepared for these alternatives to come in, and now I've been able to accept this alternative outcome that meets my intent, and I find happiness and joy in it. That allows you to shape the planning for the next phase that what you're going to do, that whatever relevant to that. If it's a follow-on event, then the next time it comes around. So for example, having a plan for my friend Josh's daughter's visit is next time she comes, he can take that plan and then grow from that. And that's true in really any kind of planning. The idea is that you can reach a point where, okay, this is what we accomplished this time. And as I go into the next phase of doing that, where can I find and grow that happiness and shape future planning? So I like to say, people say, well, if you had that opportunity to do it all over again, what would you change? And a lot of times I say, I'd do it all over again, just better. So take some time this week and make a plan, deviate as far away from it as you possibly can, and go find happiness doing something completely different if that's what floats your boat. But make sure that you have a plan to succeed no matter what you do, and you'll end up in a good place. So have a great week.